From what we understand, the other guy grabbed Carmelo, and forgive me for not knowing the other gentleman's name, but he grabbed Carmelo. And right before that, witnesses said that Carmelo told him, hey, touch me and see what happens. Now, some people say, well, he had no right to do that. He planned it out. Well, look, man, I'm just telling you, in the state of Texas, that has no bearing on the law whatsoever. So throw that out of the window. The guy grabs him, jerks him up, touches him, pushes him, whatever the case is, and allegedly he grabbed the knife out of a bag and stabs the guy in the chest and takes off running. He was subsequently apprehended, arrested, and charged with murder. Bail set at $1 million. Now look, you could be arrested. They can find probable cause for the arrest. The officer probably arrested him and maybe said that, hey, the force used was, he used too much force, or it was excessive. Now, just because you've been charged and arrested doesn't mean that you're going to be convicted. He still has due process. So he was lawfully there. He used force to defend himself. Okay, check. He felt like he needed to do that. The thing that you have to also consider, here's where I think that the prosecution is going to have a hard time if they find a good attorney, is you're talking about the person's mens rea, or their mentality. They used the force they believe was necessary to defend themselves. So how do you get inside of a person's mind or predict what that person was thinking? Okay? Even in the officer's affidavit, I can almost guarantee you he's going to say that the guy probably had a right to defend himself, but he used excessive force. So you've already opened the door that he had the right to defend himself. I haven't seen the affidavit, but I'm pretty sure I've read enough of them that's probably what it's going to say, that he used excessive force. He didn't have to use deadly force is what they're going to say, but you've already opened the door. So a good defense attorney, I know some of you are going to want to hear this, will probably be able to beat this case. Look, you have cases like Kyle Rittenhouse. This guy brings a AR-15 to a protest. He's being attacked. In this case, he says he's being attacked and it was two people. Hey, stand your ground. Which, stand your ground, we also have that here in Texas. You do not have a duty to retreat. So, just like going back to the young man, people are saying, well, he could have left. He doesn't have the duty to retreat in the state of Texas or Florida or in a lot of other states that have stand your ground laws. So if it applies to Kyle Rittenhouse, it applies to this young man.